Oh, hi everyone, it's Susie here. The date is the 28th to 12th, 2021, and the time in Turkey time is 18:24 p.m. And I thought I'd have a look at Wirex, the token WXT. We do buy this in our trading portfolio. I do like this token. I think it is definitely under the wire. It's a token that people don't generally look at. I think it's got a lot going for it in terms of its relative value. It's very, very cheap compared to its peers like Swipe, PayPal and a few other people. And also it's got, quite a lot of growth happening and certainly had a lot of good partnerships this year as well. And they're continuing to grow their client base as well. So I think it's quite a good story. This coin is less than half a cent. This token's less than half a cent. And I do think it's, quite a good story going forward. So I have been buying this anything under 0.004. And if it goes cheaper, I'm certainly buying some more. This one could surprise a lot of people. It's a sort of token that I do like to buy when it's so very cheap. It is under the wire and people are not aware of it. And there's a lot of growth happening within Wirex and its network and the system and its client base, and thus its business model is starting to make money as well. So, and they've got some pretty heavy backers in terms of investors as well within Wire token itself, funding and that sort of thing. So let's go through this. Who owns Wire token? It actually was developed in about 2014, but you may have known it as something else called eCoin. It was originally called eCoin, and then it was rebranded in 2016, and it was rebranded to Wirex. Now, be careful because there is a Wired card out there, which is a German card, and there was a whole lot of scammy stuff going with that, and that's got nothing to do with Wirex itself. Okay, this German thing that you might see on the internet called Wired card has nothing to do with Wirex itself, okay? Wirex itself was out of the UK, and again, I say it's got nothing to do with the original German card that was bought out years ago. So this was created by Pavel Matveev and Dmitry Lazarik. These guys had a lot of financial services experience with Morgan Stanley, Barclays, Credit Suisse, and Solid Bank. Basically, they want to develop a debit card that could actually buy and sell cryptocurrency very quickly and be able to put fiat onto that card and be able to use it like a mobile payment system with a mobile as well, and also create a virtual a debit card and also accounts, virtual accounts. So you could have an account, for Turkish lira, for example, which we've got at the moment, or you could have an account for pounds, you could have an account for any sort of currency that they deal with, and you don't have to, obviously you've got to do your AML, the anti-money laundering rules, and you've got to, ID yourself and everything else. But once you've done that, it's all done, and you don't have to keep doing it like if you go to banks and all that sort of business. So I think it's a great story. Now, at the moment, they've got about 3.5 million users across 130 platforms, 130 countries, I should say. They've got a mobile. They've also got a platform. So the mobile, is really, really good. I use that, the app on the mobile, but also they've got an exchange, and they're adding coins all the time to the exchange, right? And I do like the debit card. I think it's a really great story. I use it quite a lot for different things, okay? So they've got roughly, according to their figures, about 500,000 active users. Also, they had SBI Group Investment, which is a huge financial conglomerate in Japan, investing money in them as well. Okay, now that SBI, are big supporters of Ripple and XRP as well. So, they've come out and they really support heavily Ripple and XRP as well. Wirex headquarters is in London, but they're developing Kiev, Ukraine, Tokyo, Toronto, Dallas, and Atlanta. The transaction volume this year is about 2 billion, so it's quite a lot. They are looking to go into the American market as well, and not at the moment. They're not actually in the American market, but they do intend to go into the American market going forward. So in October 24th, 2017, SBI did fund Wirex. They funded them with about $7.5 million US, which was a lot. To build their expertise in distributed ledger technology. They don't use, interestingly enough, they don't use Ripple's ledger technology, the DLT. They use Stellar's, which surprised me. They should be using Ripple's, but they don't actually do that. But anyway, SBI were behind them. They gave them funding, something like about 7 million all up, which is good for them. And that was back in 2017, and they're still behind them, okay, which is a good story for Wirex itself. And that's the article there about just when they did that. I know this has got 3 million, but the all up was 7.5 million from what I can find out in other stories. So if you have a look at this, the total was 7.9 million. And it was initially a $3 million raise and a few extra raises on that, okay? So Wirex is a licensed e-money issuer under the UK Financial Conduct Authority, and it's very hard to get one of these FCA licenses. You have to be very, very compliant. They do audits quarterly and everything else. They're also an authorised Bank of Lithuania, and they're an e-money institution. They're also compliant in terms of PCI DCC Level 1 certified. Within the Wirex app, there's multi-signature availability. There's cold storage in terms of the client's accounts, which is good. You don't want a hot storage story either. And there is like a crypto fund that protects clients if something happens with Wirex itself, the exchange, which is good. So there's a UK financial service compensation scheme, but it would apply to the crypto that's sitting in the cold coins, not necessarily for the activities within Wirex itself, okay, just simply because under that scheme, creditors can actually, claim money, okay, within that scheme under the FCA and being a money issuer, okay, which contributes to protection for people that actually use Wirex, okay. So they use a two-factor authentication, that sort of thing, which is what everyone else uses. They're also connected with MasterCard as well, which is a great story, and they have a membership with the issuing card organisation as well, like MasterCard as well. If you have a look at this, they've recently received a US money transmissions license, and that means they do want to expand in the US, and that could be this year. They're registered in Europe under UAB Wirex, and they're a UAB PayNet financial register as well as within the Bank of Lithuania under the European regulation as well, right? And the Bank of Lithuanian Deposit Insurance Scheme, right? So they have got all the right analysis. They're also a part of Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, as well as the US and Financial Tracks and Report and Analysis Center in Fintech to enhance transparency and not be obscure. The Wirex card is issued by Condus, which is widely considered European premier banking service, which also has insurance, okay? Also, Wirex, as I said, is partnered with MasterCard, so you can actually use this card wherever MasterCard is accepted, okay? So Wirex itself has the mobile app, and it's also an exchange. The mobile app is very good, and it allows users to buy and spend money, store and exchange cryptocurrency, and to be able to use the card anywhere MasterCard is. And you can use it in 61 million different places all over the world, okay? It is a token because it uses Stellar's blockchain. And within it, they give you different, benefits, depending on whether you're a premium standard or elite account, and cashback, and some cashback if you buy the token. You do get free tokens as well, which I always go for the free tokens, okay? So the token itself is a funding tool, but because it uses Stellar, it's someone else's network, it's actually a token, okay? So they have been growing quite a bit. As you can see, there's the Wirex card. It's got MasterCard's thing on there. You've got the mobile app. I like it very much. It's very, very easy to use. It's easy to do ATM withdrawals. I even use it here in Turkey where I can actually do withdrawals and all that sort of thing. So I quite like it. It's pretty easy to use. Now, the advantages are, let's go through this. As I said, it's very easy to trade crypto and fiat and to put fiat on there. It's easy to register. It is a debit card, so you get rewards and referrals. It's a virtual wallet. You can have virtual accounts. It's regulated by the FCA, MAS, and Bank of Lithuania. It does have global reach in 130 countries in the world, but also there's about 61 million merchants, okay? And you do get a lot of benefits in being on this card, which is great. The disadvantages are that there is a limitation on daily transactions and limitation on transaction spending limits. Now, if you don't know that, You can increase those spending limits, but it's not obvious to the user. So you have to really go in there and understand what you're doing. Initially, when you get into that, they set you up as a $1,500 spending limit, and you have to understand that you can actually increase that. There is a monthly card maintenance fee. There are some fees on ATM withdrawals for FX, but that's nothing to do with Wirex. It's actually the bank itself, okay? And you may have an ATM withdrawal limit, which is the bank itself. As I said, they're not available in Japan or the United States, but they do intend to go into the United States going forward. There can be some high fees for exchanging crypto and fiat, and there's just a couple of things they need to tweak on the app itself. Security with Wirex can be a little bit over the top. And if you read online, you do see some negative stories online about just being frustrated with security and trying to get people's money back and all this sort of thing. But it's more about clients haven't done their know your client rules or their ID properly or their AML, okay? And that's when Wirex gets pretty strict, and you'd expect that, okay? As I said, it is easy to set up. They do have access to DeFi and NFTs and CeFi. And, you know, it's easy to download from Google Play and app stores as well. And they are widening into, as per their December new white paper, they're widening into DeFi protocol via Nearest, okay? And they've got a $5 billion Wirex investment in this new DeFi protocol Nearest, which will give you access to DeFi tokens as well. Also, they've opened up many DeFi saving products, being an X account, and you can earn up to 16% annualized interest, which is huge. And even on some things, you can earn up to 25%. They're also expanding their capability and operational ability so that they can work off Solana, which is much better than Stellar. For basically, it's much faster in terms of transactions per second. So it is a pretty good story, this I have to say. I like it very much. The circulating supply and the maximum supply of Wirex is 10 billion. So clearly, if you go back here, 10 billion, there's no one's holding any outstanding supply, right? So it's all in the market, which means there's no more to come into the market, which is a good story. It means no one can, you know, sell this token down if they're actually holding extra of the token. You want to see supply. Circulating supply being the same as maximum supply. Now, when you see the difference, it means that someone's holding, amount of the coin or the token, okay? So the good thing is it's the same, right? So, you know, you'll find as we go forward that they are expanding into DeFi and CeFi, and they've just announced that recently. They want to expand to additional 81 countries globally, and they really want this to be a product that is used globally, okay? And they're increasing their wallet span and everything else, which is a great story. Also looking at cross-chain interoperability as well. They did establish a partnership with Fireblocks. Now, Fireblocks is a leading crypto custody and settlement solution provider, and they do a lot with institutional users, and they have access to DeFi, right? Fireblocks is developing a company-secure platform that expedites digital asset operations for financial institutions. Fireblocks is a great story, actually. I really like it. I've looked into them. I like them very much. It has custodian wallets. It's also one platform, and it does a lot with institutions, and they really know what they're doing, okay? They're also connected with Avalanche, C-Chain through Fireblocks, DeFi API, and Wallet Connect. Now, Fireblocks is, one of the leading companies that's been literally funded by some of the biggest banks in the world, namely BN Mellon and a few others, which we'll go into. And it's got a valuation of over 900 mil, or just under a bill, right? Some of the large banks you'll see have funded them, and Wirex is in partnership with them, which is a great story, okay? And it's in partnership with them to launch its high interest crypto savings account that utilizes yield farming strategies, and it does integrate with Ethereum sidechain Polygon as well, and also can be used in 61 million outlets globally. It has a lot of different currencies that, you know, it may be hard to get those currencies or to set up accounts in those currencies. And one thing being in Turkey, it's been very good for us to use that card, okay? Also, Fireblocks had, as I said, a lot of funding. They had it from Sequoia Capital, who's very well known, Stripe, Spark Capital, as well as Siam Commercial Bank, which is in Thailand, which has 60 million clients, and it's also a Ripple client as well. So there's a big connection here with Wirex and Ripple as well. So maybe going forward, there could be some establishment between Wirex and Ripple's platform rather than Stella's, which I'd imagine that would be the case. If we look at Five Blocks has been growing exponentially. They have about 202 employees. They're advertising a lot of people, in all sorts of various sales and BD. As I said, the former CEC Chairman Jay Clayton is on their advisory board for Five Blocks. Also, they've got, as I said, they had great funding from other institutions. If we go down here, you'll see Tenure Capital, Eight Roads Venture, Paradigm, Swiss company. You'll see Galaxy Digital, which is Novogratz, who's very, very well. If you look behind who's funding this, it's a great story. BNY Mellon, Sequoia is in a lot of different inter-operations for startups and unicorn funding and that sort of thing. So Five Blocks is a great story, and it's great that it's actually connected with Wirex as well. They're growing all the time. This is their employees and this is their Twitter followers. If you have a look at the background of Wirex, they've got some very well-known people. And this is probably why they've got such a good funding base. If you look at Five Blocks competitors, it's Five Blocks blockchain security services provider. You'll see who their competitors are, and they're in a much better position than a lot of their competitors, simply because they have funding and they have a lot of money to expand. And you'll see that the total funding, they've now got a valuation up until July 2021, $2 billion. Originally, it was 900 mil. Their funding was something like 480 million, I think, of 489 million all up. And as I said, these are some of the funders here: Sequoia, Silicon Valley, Spark. You've got Digital Currency Group, Galaxy, and some of the very big names here, BNY Mellon and the like. Okay, so this story I like very much, I have to say. They're expanding in 61 million locations in the world. They're going to be adding more and more crypto. They're based in London, but they've got offices in Singapore, Kyiv, Tokyo, Toronto, Dallas, Dublin, and Atlanta. Apparently now they do something like $5 billion worth of processing rather than $2 billion, and they will probably look to expand in the US and Japan, particularly with SBI supporting them as well. And it wouldn't surprise me if they eventually go on to Ripple's network. That would not surprise me at all. Now, also they announced this year, very late in the year, that they're going into Vietnam. Vietnam's a huge country, okay? It's something like over 100 million. It's one of the countries that does a lot in cryptocurrency, okay? And they've created these X accounts, which they've rolled out in 81 different countries, where you can actually get benefit of DeFi. And they've launched a crypto platform in Vietnam, okay? And there's different bridges, and you can basically do interoperability with different bridges, okay? So with the Vietnam, adoption and the exchange, they're now at 4 million clients or more, okay? And this is a great story for them. Also, the Monetary Authority of Singapore has granted exemption for holding a license to a number of cryptocurrencies, and this includes Wirex as well. So that's a great story for them. So they can go into Singapore if they want. Now, keeping in mind, Wirex is only at about 0.003, okay? So given what they've got, given their client base and given who's behind them, this is very, very cheap, okay? 0.003585. It's an extremely cheap token, and, if all goes well, it's going to be worth a lot more than that. In the last big rally, it got to about 4 cents. So, you could have got, literally, a sharp ratio of 20 times more or something like that. So it is a very, very cheap story for where these people are going, okay, for where Wirex is going, and the people that are behind Wirex, and particularly the partnerships behind Wirex, okay. So again, being in Vietnam is a huge, huge business, and again, they can operate out of Singapore as well. Also, this year, in February of this year, Wirex announced a partnership with Zero Hash in order to provide crypto to over 300 million Americans, okay? And I'm assuming this is still in place. Apparently, this crypto Zero Hash gives them access to 300 million Americans, and apparently this was going to be happening in April, which I need to follow up, okay? This is a digital asset settlement platform owned by Seed SX Wirex, and will provide infrastructure to allow Wirex to expand to 51 jurisdictions within the US. Now, there may be some time delay on this because of all the crypto regulation in America. But this is going to be a big business for Wirex. If they get in there, they could get literally, 45 billion transactions or more. And seriously, that's not embedded in their price yet, okay? And their price is less than 0.5%, okay? So, it's a very, very cheap bet in Wirex, given where they're going in the future, okay? They have reached incredible success. They're growing all the time. And I just think it's a great story. Also, just recently in June, they announced a Wirex partnership with Terra Virtue for exclusive NFT giveaways. Terra Virtue's done very, very well. It opens them up to the DeFi space and also the client base on Terra, which is huge. And basically, it allows them to grow. Okay, and they also put an investment in DeFi as well. Okay. They made this announcement and, exclusive offers and that sort of thing. Now, also they've got Shannon Bank integrate Wire's platform to bring cheaper, faster transfers to customers. And again, Shannon Bank is a client of Ripple's too, and they use XRP. And I thought this was interesting. And this was in June of this year. Okay, so there's all these connections between Wirex and Ripple's clients as well, and it surprised me that they're still using Stellar when you'd think they'd be using RippleNet. Also, there's other partners, GPay, Yalpal, Vortu, Temos, and the like as we go forward. They've also partnered with Mastercard's network, which is great. They've teamed up with Mastercard and BitPay. Okay. So that's another story as well. But look, all in all, I do think this one is under the wire. We can either make a lot of money out of this or not lose a lot. On a risk-adjusted return basis, this really stands up, as having a Sharpe ratio well over 10 if we're right on this one. It's very, very cheap bet for what it is. And given where they're going, given what markets they're in, Wirex in Asia and particularly in Europe and the US if they go there and Japan, this one's a seriously, seriously cheap bet, and I'm prepared to put my dollars into this one. Fair income, I really am. I do like the story. I do like the connection. I like the partnerships particularly, and they're growing extremely well, and I do like their app, okay? And they're putting on more and more crypto, and they're going to more and more areas within the cryptocurrency market, and they're expanding very nicely on the client side. So growing network, growing scalability, more usage, more addresses. They're growing their fees all the time. Whoops, meant to change that. More clients, more partnerships. They comply with local rules and procedures. They're regulated under FCA, MSA, and the Bank of Lithuania, and they've got some great partnerships. So all in all, I do like Wirex. I think it's a very cheap bet. I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's cheap, very cheap to its peers like Swipe and the like, and it is certainly under the wire, and I'm prepared to put my money where my mouth is and invest in this one because I think this one could go a long way and surprise a lot of people. And this is the sort of thing I love looking for. Anyway, guys and girls, I hope that helps. And if you've got any questions, please do come back to me. Thank you.